Okay, welcome back. Now, so far we have added our bird, we have added backgrounds, and we've got our bird to the stage where we can play the game, let your computer think about it, and you should have a bird which is able to rise on the press of your spacebar and drop and collide with the box collider of the ground. If you're still having trouble here, pause, go back, look at your code, check that everything is matching. You may need to troubleshoot quite a bit here. Ensure that you have followed all of the previous steps accurately in order to reach this stage. You can double check in Animator, make sure everything is set up, check your transitions, do you have the condition established? But essentially troubleshoot, talk with someone, have you solved every problem, and are you at this stage? So once you've reached this point where you have your bird, the code is working for the bird jumping, then move on. I suggest that if you have a problem at this point, you do troubleshoot or you retry rather than continuing with something that's a little bit broken. So you're better off making sure it's correct before you go on. But assuming you've done that, you're at this stage, we're ready to move on. Next step, we're actually going to add some UI, which is user interface to the game. To do that, we're going to come over to hierarchy, click into the hierarchy, so we're no longer on any of the cameras or the birds or the grass section, so we're just going to click there. Right click and select UI. The UI that we are going to add is some text, so select text and click that. This is going to do a number of things. We've now created a canvas, and in the canvas as a child of the canvas is text. We also have an event system. The event system is used if you need any buttons or scrollers. We're not going to use that, so right click, delete the event system. Much cleaner. Now we have our text, and you can see here it says new text. We're going to edit this. Ensure that text is highlighted in blue, then bring yourself over to the inspector. Now, down here in new text, we're going to put our first text in, which is going to be capitals, S-C-O-R-E, score, 0. So we've established our first piece of text, which is score 0. But the text itself is not in a very nice font. We're going to change that. Use the font selector. There's a little button to the side. And here's the little asset that we drew in at the very beginning of the game, luckiest guy. We're going to select that, double click. You can find your own font and add a different font later on. Use this one for now. It's the basic font for Flappy Bird. However, if you've designed your own game and you want a different font, you can download them from Font Squirrel, from a number of different places, but make sure it's an open source freeware. And add that in. Next, we'll change our size. We're going to go from 14 to about 32. Our font has disappeared because we've got a very large size font. It's not fitting in the box, so now we're going to change the overflow. And we're going to change from wrap to overflow on horizontal and overflow on vertical. And now it's back again. Next, we're going to pick a color. We're going to go for white. How's it going to let me pick? Here we go. So we're going to just change this to white. I'll drag my little selector right up there. So we have 255 on all of the RGB spectrum. It's completely opaque. That's good. Color is selected. Excellent. So we've added our text, we've picked our size, and we've colored it. Next off, we need to change its position. In alignment, we're going to make sure it's in center of its own text box. And then we're going to use the transformation preset at the top of the screen. On this little box, you can see it's got a target, and it's targeting where we're going to position our text. At the moment, it's bullseye in the center. So click that, and now we're going to change its position. And you can see at the top it says Shift lets you pivot, but pressing and holding the Alt key will allow you, which is Option if you're on a Mac, will allow you to set the position. What we want is to position ours at the bottom middle. So hold Alt. You'll notice that as soon as I do it, the screen changes a little. So hold Alt. Currently selected is the center box. Continuing to hold the Alt or Option key if you're on a Mac, select the bottom middle position. Now release the Alt key, and you've positioned it. It's very low on the bottom of the screen, so we're going to use the Y-axis and raise it by 50 pixels. Yeah, that looks good. by 50 pixels so that it sits in the middle. This is now positioned, it's in the color that we want. We're going to add one more thing just to make it a little bit cooler, a component. Type in SH, will bring it up, or you can continue typing the word until you find the shadow option. Select shadow. The effect distance will make, I'm going to make it 1.8. You can play around with this, change it to anything you want. We'll make the Y minus 1.8. And a very subtle shadow has been created. Perfect. So we have our font, subtle shadow, file, save seams, file, save your project. And in the next video, we'll add 2 more pieces of font before we code those and move on. So at this point, we should have the game playing and our little bird flapping up and down with the word score sitting below it in position. Good work. That's it for now.